What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Mikey McNuggets coming at you with an ultimate Cav show here on a Wednesday morning. It is the deadest of dead times on the NBA calendar. Free agency, trades, the draft, that's all behind us. We're about a month away from the start of training camp, a few weeks away from media days, at least for the Cavs. We know they're holding their media day officially on September 29th. It is a Monday. Then they fly to IMG Academy the next day to start their second consecutive training camp away from Cleveland. So there's not a whole lot to talk about. We addressed the Max Strus injury last week. We talked about who could step in and fill his shoes while he's on the mend recovering. So I figured today, let's spend a few minutes talking about whether or not this truly is a make or break year for the Cavs, and mostly for the core four. Now, there are a couple different ways to parse this out. The first is the simplest. The East is completely wide open. The Cavs and the Knicks are the two betting favorites to make it out of the Eastern Conference on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Jayson Tatum's out for the entire season, if not all of that, 95% of the season with a torn Achilles. The same goes for Tyrese Haliburton, who injured his Achilles in game 7 of the NBA Finals. So barring any miraculous, never seen before kind of recovery, he's gone. So you take the Celtics without their best player. They're probably not title contenders. They still could be scrappy, but not title contenders. You look at the Pacers, who appear to be in more of a reset year than they are in a go-for-it year. Again, they let Miles Turner walk. They intentionally didn't spend a ton of money so they could get under all those thresholds and stuff to put their team in a financial position to then go for it when Halliburton's back. And then you look at the rest of the uncertainty across the Eastern Conference. You have a team like Atlanta, who they have the talent. Are they ready to take that gigantic leap? You have the Sixers. If everyone stays healthy, then sure, maybe they could be a dangerous squad, but are we really counting on Joel Embiid to stay healthy? If you want to take that bet, so be it, but I would not wager any type of money on Joel Embiid being able to play long enough to make them a title contender. The Pistons are an up-and-coming team. Are they ready to catapult the Cavs? The Magic made some nice acquisitions this summer. Desmond Bane is a really nice piece to add into their core, but will Franz Wagner find his jump shot? Can they generate more offense? Will they be creative enough offensively without losing their identity defensively to still be a major threat moving forward? And then you have the doldrums of the East, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Nets, the Raptors, the Bulls, the Heat, teams that I just can't really see making a splash. So in terms of, is it a make or break year? We'll get to that in a second, but it's unarguable. There is no argument to be made that a conference has ever been set up more nicely for a team to repeat as the 1 seed and hopefully make a run to the NBA Finals than the Cavs would be following a 64-win regular season. They obviously had their playoff flame out to the Indiana Pacers. They kept most of their roster intact, added Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance Jr., lost Ty Jerome and Isaac Okoro, but for the most part, it's the same team with the same core, with the same coach, with the same players, with the same aspirations. Certain guys may take individual jumps. I'm looking at you, Evan Mobley, Jalen Tyson, Sam Merrill. Some guys may play to the same level, if not slightly above, slightly below Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. You got some injuries you're dealing with early on in Darius Garland and Max Strus, but the East could not be more wide open. And that means it's a perfect opportunity for the Cavs to capitalize on what could be the weakest Eastern Conference in a while. I haven't even mentioned the Milwaukee Bucks, by the way, who do have Giannis, the best player in the entire conference. But I don't trust the rest of the team around Giannis. Obviously, Dame was traded in a move to open up some cap space. He wasn't even traded. He was basically waived in a move to get some cap space so then they can sign Miles Turner to pair him with Giannis. Is that a winning duo? I'm not buying it. I think the two best teams in the East are the Cavs and the Knicks. I think the Cavs are better than the Knicks. I understand the Knicks made it further in the playoffs the last 2 years, but I do think the Cavs are overall a better team than the Knicks, assuming everyone's healthy, assuming the season goes as planned. Now, is it a make or break? Those discussions have been had up and down the Cavaliers organization, all across the interweb, in barbershops, in restaurants, in bars. Does the core four work? Can the core four win? The truth of the matter is, because of the second apron restrictions, and because of the way the Cavs pushed their chips in with the DeAndre Hunter move, it probably isn't that easy. And when I say probably, I mean it isn't that easy to just hit the eject button and blow it all up if the Cavaliers fail to generate the playoff success that they believe they should withstand and they should endure and they should go through and benefit from this season. It's not that simple. When they made the DeAndre Hunter trade, it put them in a 3-year window where with the core plus Hunter, they were essentially going to be a second apron team. They were well aware of that. They understood what was going to go on and how they got into that situation. And that was their window before certain pieces became much more movable, their contracts became much more tradable, and before certain salaries just fell off the books in terms of free agency, extensions kick in, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a 3-year window. Could you make a break, or could you blow it up, if things don't go right? Yes, you could, but it'd be piece by piece. And it's a little more difficult to navigate those trades than it is just to say, blow it all up. We'll talk about Jared Allen real quick, for example. But for the Cavs to trade Jared Allen, they'd have to find a team that needs a center, is willing to pay a center $30 million over the next couple of years, is okay with that center not being a shooter, has the cap space to absorb said contract, and also has the assets, draft picks, young players, etc., to then give back to Cleveland, because they're not just going to give away a player like Jared Allen. The Cavs aren't going to rebuild next year if things don't go right. They'll try and retool. So to make those flops and those swaps, the Cavs have to basically check off a couple of boxes. Do the salaries match? Do the finances work? Does Team B need a player like Jared Allen? And lastly, do they have what it takes to give us back something to make us better? So as easy as it is to say, should they blow it up? Do they have to blow it up? It's a little more difficult to actually execute. With that being said, if the core four, DeAndre Hunter, and this team can't make it at least to the NBA Finals this season, barring some crazy injury situation, which you could say about every team, I do think it would be in Cleveland's best interest to maybe not blow it up, but certainly to break off a few pieces and try a different way. What's the definition of insanity? Trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And we've seen now in 3 consecutive playoffs that the Cavaliers' offense isn't adequate when defenses tighten up. Yeah, their defense left a lot to be desired against Indiana, but the reality was they couldn't score against the Pacers. And you go back against the series against the Knicks 2 years ago. Their defense was fine. They just couldn't score. Even, I guess, technically 2 seasons ago now against Boston. I know Donovan was out, and I understand injuries play a role in this. I'm totally aware of all the surrounding circumstances that play into it, but the truth of the matter is they couldn't score against Boston. And if you can't score, you can't win in the NBA, especially in today's era. So when you look at the core four, despite what the advanced analytics say, despite what the net rating in the regular season is, despite all the positive numbers you can point to and say, this grouping works, I'd counter with, does it when it matters? Is that a good enough core? And do the pieces of said core complement each other in a playoff situation when your back's against the wall and you need to get buckets and you need to get stops and you need to dig down and win a game? I'm not sure. Right now, as of September 3rd, 8 in the morning, I want to give them another shot to prove me wrong. Or I guess prove me right, because I'm more optimistic on the Cavs than a lot of you guys out there. I want to give them one more opportunity to see if a year 2 with another offseason under Kenny Atkinson can kind of make this group even more cohesive than we've seen before on both ends of the court. You can tweak some things. You can get deeper into your offense now that everyone's more familiar with the terminology and the roles of each position on the court, etc. I'm curious to see what that looks like. So I'm not willing to write it off now. I understand why a lot of fans wanted to pull the trigger on the ejection button earlier this offseason. I went over some trades. There are a few I would have made. You can go back and check the track record. I was in favor of a few of those moves. Not all of them, but a few of them I did think made the Cavs better. I thought most of them were silly fodder. Some I would have seriously considered. But I wasn't ready to pull the trigger right then and there because it felt too early. It felt like this team with Kenny Atkinson at the helm, with DeAndre Hunter, needed one full season to see what they could truly do. And now that the Red Sea is parted in the East due to some unfortunate injuries to key players, teams for financial reasons taking a step back, all the above, it kind of is now or never, because I'm not sure there'll ever be a better opportunity for Cleveland to have an easier path, at least on paper, to reaching the end goal, to reaching the NBA Finals, to getting back to that stage where it's you versus the best in the West, for the Larry O'Brien trophy. It's that simple. So is it a make or break year? In a way, I do believe it is. I understand it's more difficult than not to actually execute the breakage of a core four with all the contracts involved. But I'm not sure how you run it back for a third consecutive year with this group, with Kenny Atkinson, another year with DeAndre Hunter, if it's another playoff flameout. It just may not be the right grouping to get you to where you need to get to. Before we continue, guys, let's take a really quick break and remind you that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is right around the corner, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready to kick off with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. All right, just to kind of put a bow on this. Sorry, I should have dropped the FanDuel read. That's my bad, guys. To put a bow on this, when you look at the Cavs, they have 2 of the 6 or 7 best players in the entire conference. And maybe 2 of the 5 best when you take out Haliburton and Jayson Tatum. 3 of the top 12, 10 to 12, 10 to 13 best players in the conference. 4 of the top 20, 25-ish players in the conference. You have 4 All-Stars and a guy who's a perennial 6th Man of the Year candidate. That on paper in a weak East should be more than enough to make a deep playoff run. That's not me saying this, guys. This is what the Cavaliers have said. This is what Kobe Altman has said. This is what Kenny Atkinson is preaching in his organization right now, preaching to these guys over the summer. That's what Donovan Mitchell said at his final post-game press conference of the season, where he basically cursed us out in the media, saying we have to be better. Not we as in the media, we as in the team. We effing know what we messed up. We know how we came short. We know we pooped our pants. It's not what he really said, but you know what he said. We have to do better. And when your best players want to take that kind of accountability, it seeps down into the rest of the roster. And guys like Evan and Jared and Darius and Max and DeAndre, Merrill, Lonzo wasn't here, Jalen Tyson, all those guys feel a little added pressure that the standard may not be good enough anymore. The entire level has been raised, and now you must meet said level. It's just simply not good enough to be where you're at. Be better. Be as good as you can be. And if we all collectively reach a higher level, then maybe we won't have those shortcomings in the playoffs. You heard me say this stat before. I'll say it one more time. The Cavs are one of now just 3 teams ever to win 64 regular season games, have an average margin of victory of 9 points or better, and not make the NBA Finals. It's an unacceptable place to be. It was a catastrophic failure last year, and everyone inside those buildings, inside the practice facility, inside Rocket Arena, knows that. So how do you fix it? You dig deep, you look within yourself, you recognize your shortcomings, and you try and close that gap between you and the best version of yourself as quickly as you can. Is it in the Cavs? I sure damn hope so, because I think this team has a chance to be pretty special again this season. I know a lot of you need to see it before you'll believe it, and that is totally fair. And frankly, I have to be one back over as well. But I am optimistic that with everything falling into place like it has, Cleveland knowing the pressure they're under, the veterans on this roster, and the coaching staff this team has put together, they're ready to make a deep playoff run. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Ultimate Cavs Show on a Wednesday morning. We'll see you in a couple hours on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Our first 4-person panel in quite a while, because that is football season for you. We'll have plenty more to talk about with the Cavs in the coming weeks, but right now it is the doldrums of the summer. There is nothing going on, and there's no trades to make up. There's no more free agency rumors. Oh, actually, real quick, Malik Beasley, if you're out there, come to Cleveland. They could use you. Be a great fit. Vet minimum. Rebound your image, make a bunch of threes, and then go get your bag somewhere else next offseason. So that's the only free agency rumor we have to talk about. That's going to wrap it up, though. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you in a couple hours on UCSS. Peace.